Good evening to one and all. In this video lecture series, we are going to discuss about what are the various steps in casting. In the previous video, we had discussed about what is manufacturing process. It is a type of process in which the raw material is converted into the finished product with the help of different types of techniques. The major techniques are product design, production, procurement of raw materials and the selection of the raw materials, and the selection of sequence of operations. These are all the major steps in the manufacturing process. And then we have discussed about what is casting and what are all the various components used in the casting for production of the casting. Some of them are core box, drag box, parting line, runner, riser, gating system, and the purpose of core, etc. In this series, we will discuss about what are the various steps in casting. The whole process of producing casting may be classified into majorly 5 steps. First step is the pattern making. The pattern is an exact facsimile or replica of the article to be cast. If we want to produce a dumbbell like structure, we want to produce the wooden pattern like dumbbell, and then we need to place it in the sand mold, and then we need to create the mold cavity. The patterns are designed and prepared as per the drawings. This is the first step. We need to create the pattern. Next, second step is the molding and core making. The molds are prepared in either sand or similar materials with the help of patterns, so that a cavity of the designed shape is produced. To obtain hollow portions, cores are prepared separately in the core boxes. The molds and cores are then baked to impart strength and finally assembled for the coring. Molding can be done either manually or by machines depending on the output required. Provision of gates and risers are also made for flow of molten metal. The first step involves pattern making. The pattern, a replica of the product which we are going to produce, is made with the help of some materials such as wooden materials or wax materials. The material is known as the pattern. Next, we need to create the mold. That means the shape of the pattern is immersed in the sand, and then if we remove the pattern, the product shape is attained in the sand particles. And if we need to produce the halo-like structure, core is used. This is the second step. Next, third step is the melting and casting. Correct composition of molten metal is melted in a suitable surface and poured into the molds. The molds are then allowed to cool down for the metal to solidify. The castings are finally extracted by breaking the molds. This is the third step in the casting process. First one is the pattern making, second one is the molding creation and the core making creation. Third step is the melting of the product materials and then the casting process. Here the correct composition of molten metal is melted in the suitable furnace and poured into the molds. Next, the final process is the fettling. Fettling means removal of the unwanted projections. The casting as obtained after solidification carry unwanted projections. Also, sand particles, they tend to adhere to the surface of the castings. The castings are therefore sent to fettling section when the projections are cut off and surface cleaned for further work. The casting may also need heat treatment depending upon the specific properties required. These are all the major steps in the casting process. First step involves pattern making. Then the second step is the molding and core making process. Third step is the melting process and then casting. And the final process is the fettling. Fettling means the removal of the unwanted projections. And the final one is the final testing and inspection. Finally, before the casting is dispatched from foundry, it is tested and inspected to ensure that it is flawless and conforms to the specifications desired. This is the simple flow chart of steps in the casting. The first one is the pattern making, and then core making, and then gating system. This comes under the molding. Here, melting of metal can be done with the help of the different types of furnace based upon the availability. And the melting metal is poured into the mold and it is allowed to solidify. Then the finished product is known as the cast. The process is known as the casting process. The casting is removed after some additional treatment. It is cleaned and finished with the help of pressure tightness. And finally, in order to reduce the defect or in order to find the defect, inspection is made either manually or with the help of different types of devices based upon the different types of product. Thank you.